Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
How are you?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. How are you? Hare Krishna, Sneha.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Guru. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Mahajan Prabhu is there as well.
Hare Krishna, Bhai Sahib. Hare
Pehले
Krishna.
बोला प्रभुजी Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nanda Patni Mata ji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, शिक्षा गुरु जी.
नहीं कल बात हुई थी यही.
कल बात हम बात बुत को समझते नहीं, जो तो हमारी खोपड़ी में बैठा हुआ है बस.
ओके.
ये तो निकलेगा नहीं.
चलो कोई बात नहीं, चलेगा.
हाँ चलेगा. थैंक यू. आप बहुत देते हैं, आपका मैं देना नहीं दे सकती.
हरी बोल.
या पल पल में आपके मैं देना नहीं दे सकती आपका. एक कीड़ी को रीझना सिखाया.
Thank you, so kind.
माता जी ने कितना अच्छा एग्जाम्पल दिया ना.
और क्या.
I see.
तो सब कुछ मालूम है.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Radhavana Prabhu. How are
Hare
you?
Krishna. I'm good, Prabhuji. Thank you.
That's good. I see Mother Mary there as well. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Enjoying the weather here. We have only half the degrees as you do.
Yes, apparently people that have lived in India said it was hotter here than it has been.
That's right. Yeah. I have never been in 49.6 degrees temperature in India. Never.
Yeah.
Which is what Lytton had.
When I was in India, it was hot, but not quite this hot.
No, not anywhere near. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to put the Pranami mantra. Who would like to lead today?
Me?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Anybody?
Me?
Sudavi Mataji, go ahead. Yeah, sure, no problem. Did we just put it on?
Namo
Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimad
Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Vachari Nirvishesha Punyavadi Vasachakatishutari Jai Shri Krishna Jai Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarcha
Yeah, thank you, Mother. Thank you, Prabhuji. That's nice. Okay. So last week we talked about Lord Krishna's appearance. Any questions from last week's class? No? Okay. All right, then let me get started with today's class. And today we're going to cover chapter 6, 7, and if time permits, chapter 8 also. Chapter 6 is the healing of the, let me just mute everyone.
can be the co-host, Prabhu, if you want.
Okay, sure. Yeah, because I don't see. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, Mother, you are co-host now. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah.
Sure. All right. Okay. So we remember last week we said that Vasudev had met Nanda Maharaj in Mathura and told him to rush back to Gokul, his home. So as he was leaving, he was actually afraid that something might go wrong. And he was praying very hard to Lord Hari for protection of himself and his entourage and his family. And Vasudeva was right. Kansa sent a demon by the name of Putana to Gokul. And she went there. She had been wandering around here and there, killing small babies wherever she found them. And following the orders of her king Kansa. Now, Srila Prabhupada makes a comment that she was killing kids in Gokul, but Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was present there. So ultimately, Putana had to die. There's just no other way. But of course, she didn't know that. So one day, Putana arrived in Gokul, and using her mystic powers, she assumed the form of a very beautiful woman. And, amazing, bewitching smile. And as she smiled, very beautifully, attractively upon everyone, everyone's attention was drawn to her, especially men who were eyeing her. And they all thought that Mother Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, herself had come to Gokul to see their boy Krishna. Anyway, so Putana entered the house of Nanda Maharaj without anybody stopping her or asking any questions, completely unobstructed. And she went straight to Lord Krishna's bedroom. She didn't bother asking anybody's permission, and nobody stopped her. Nobody at all stopped her from entering the house or from entering the room. And I guess that's because that's what Krishna wanted. That was Krishna's desire. It had to be completed. Now, does anybody know how old was Krishna at this time when Putana came? My wife says 6 days.
6 days, yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. Excuse me. So he was merely a 6-day-old baby. And he saw Putana coming into the room. Excuse me. And he understood that Putana is an expert in killing babies. And she had come there with an intention to kill him. So therefore, and this is something we'll discuss in a bit, as if afraid of her, Krishna actually closed his eyes. And Putana picked him up, took her in her lap. And again, Rohini Mataji was there, Yashoda Maya was there, and as if mesmerized by the influence of Yoga Maya, they became so overwhelmed with Putana's beauty, they did not object. Who's this strange woman picking up my child? They did not object. And of course, Putana was a good actress, so she was acting like she is the baby's real mother with a lot of love in her eyes and facial expressions. She picked him up. Excuse me. And immediately she offered her breast to Krishna to suck on. But the breast had been smeared with deadly poison. It says halahal, which means deadly poison. There's no escape from that. So of course, Lord Krishna was very angry actually, that Putana was doing something like this. So he squeezed her breast so severely that she felt an unbearable pain and started to cry. Please leave me, leave me now, leave me, stop sucking my breast, please leave me. And she was perspiring, her eyes went wide open, her arms and legs were flailing as she ran out of the house. And she cried very, very loudly again and again and again and again. And she opened her mouth wide, very wide open. And then, spreading her arms, her legs and hair, she fell down in the posturing grounds in her original form of a demon and lost her life. Any ideas how long her body was when she fell?
12 miles.
12 miles, yes. 12 miles long. So it's said in the Bhagavatam that her teeth resembled the front of a plow. I don't know how many of you have seen a plow, but it's like, looks like a thick blade, but very long. So, I'm a bit of a, when it comes to math, I'm a bit of a nerd. So I said, the average man or average person, let's say he's 5 foot 8 inches tall. And I looked up on Google that an average length of the tooth that's above the gums is about 10 millimeters. So I just simply, if a 5 foot 8 inch person has 10 millimeter of tooth, how long would the tooth of a person who's 12 miles long be? And I calculated it to be 112 meters. So I mean, silly statistics, but I just wanted to see, when they say it looked like a plow, what does it really mean? And it meant like it was 112 meters long teeth. Her nostrils were deep like mountain caves, and her breasts resembled the slabs of stones. Her scattered hair were copper color, and her thighs resembled the banks of a river. Her arms, her legs, her feet, they seemed like big bridges over the river. And her abdomen looked like a dried up lake. So, I mean, that's how Srimad Bhagavatam describes her as she fell dead. And Lord Krishna casually playing on her chest, just like a small child, as if completely unaware of what has happened. And of course, the gopis, Sudamaya, they were all in panic. They were running after Putana. I mean, they saw her fall down and they saw Krishna just playing on top of her. They felt great relief, great relief. And they climbed up the body of Putana, took Krishna away in their own laps and brought him to Yashodamaya. They washed Krishna with cow urine and smeared his body with cow dust. Cow dust basically means that as the cows walk in a herd, a lot of dust rises in the air. And so they collect that dust. It's supposed to be very purifying. So they smeared Krishna's body with that dust. And they applied different names of the Lord with cow dung on 12 different parts of the body. Beginning with his forehead, just like we do tilak. Same idea, except instead of chandan or sandalwood, it was cow dung. And then they chanted mantras for his protection. And what I remember is like, may Aja protect your legs, may Yajna protect your thighs, may Lord Achyuta protect your upper parts of your waist, and so on and so forth. May Lord Keshav protect your heart, and may Ishwar protect your head, and so on and so forth. Like, taking different names of the Lord, asking for protection of different parts of the body. And having done that, then Mother Yashoda started breastfeeding Lord Krishna. And then when he fell asleep, she laid him in bed. Now go back to the street. Nanda Maharaj is coming back from Mathura to Gokul along with his entourage. And when they returned, they saw this great, huge, dead body of Putana. And they were amazed. I mean, there's two reasons. One was, how can even a demon be so big, 12 miles long? But second was, how did Vasudeva know how did he foretell that something like this was going to happen? And they said, Vasudeva, you're amazing that you have such foresight that you could forecast something like this. Anyway, so the residents of Braja, they cut the gigantic body of Putana into pieces and they burned it. But very interesting thing happened. Because Lord Krishna had sucked her breast, she had been freed from all sinful reactions. So when the body was being burnt, actually there was the smoke that filled the air had a very pleasing fragrance. What a transformation. Yeah. So that's the story of Putana. But who was she? What's the history of Putana? Does anybody know who she was in the previous birth? Yeah, go ahead.
She was in Bali Maharaj's daughter Ratnamala. Yeah, and at the time when Vamana Dev came asking for the charity, she saw him to be very cute, and she said, "I wish I had a child like him, and I would feed him, something like that, right?" And then immediately after that, she had an ill feeling also, and then
Right. So actually, there are two versions. Brahma Vaivat Puran says that she was, excuse me, sister of Bali Maharaj, and Garg Samhita says she was daughter. So take whichever version you like. Now, the next question comes. So why did Krishna actually close his eyes? So any thoughts on that? Yeah, go ahead.
So because she was the first lady he was killing, he didn't. I think in one lecture I've heard. I don't have any.
No, that's correct. That's correct. Yeah. Any other ideas? Sorry? Okay, all right, then I'll just continue. So, excuse me. Another reason was that he didn't like seeing the face of Putana, who had killed so many children, and now she had come to kill him. Some other people say that he closed his eyes because there was anger in his eyes, and he thought that she might become frightened by that anger in my eyes and may run away. Another person said, our devotee said, that she was coming to feed him, as Authority said. So in a sense, she was like a mother. So therefore, he said, I have to kill someone who's acting like a mother. It's not good. So he again closed his eyes. Now, any ideas what happened to Putana after she left her body this time?
She is given eternal position in Golok.
Of what?
As Krishna's mother.
Right, as Krishna's nurse.
Nurse.
Yeah, so I mean, acting motherly. Oh, somebody just said in the chat all the details. Oh, thank you. You can read in your chat. Oh my God, it's a long one too. Sonam, thank you. Okay, all right. So the point is that Krishna is so merciful that even though she came in the mood of an enemy, because she acted like a mother, she was given the position of a mother or a nurse in Gokul, where she can be there eternally. Not in the demon mood anymore, but still, she can live there anymore. She live there eternally. I mean. So, next question becomes, so what does Putana represent? Any thoughts on that? Okay, so she represents a bogus guru. A guru who preaches sense gratification or liberation or both, sense gratification and liberation. Sometimes a bogus guru can actually be engaged in some Krishna conscious activities, but he has no clue, absolutely no clue of what pure devotional service is about. But he tries to give instructions to his disciple about pure devotional service. So basically, he's giving instructions to the disciples on topics that are beyond his own understanding. So when that happens, sometimes he has no regard for the situation that the disciple is in, but he goes and gives instructions anyway, which causes downfall of the disciple. Okay, is that clear, or are there any questions about that?
Prabhuji. So, how you link with that? We can understand bogus guru definition you are telling, but how to link that Putana as represent that? How to connect that?
Yeah, so Putana represented herself as mother.
Okay, wrong mother. So that's how you look at it?
Well, presented herself as mother, but she was not real mother. Her intent was to kill.
Okay.
So somebody presents himself as a guru, not qualified, but he's taking the disciple down to the hellish path. Right? Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all right. Then we'll move to the next chapter, which is the killing of the Trinavarta. Now, I know that some of you attended the class on Sunday, last Sunday. So some of it may sound familiar, but for the sake of others, and also it's good to hear these pastimes again and again. So I will continue with that pastime. And so basically what happened was Maharaj Parikshit was so eager to hear more and more pastimes, I should say childhood pastimes of Lord Krishna, that he kept asking more and more questions. So Shukadeva Goswami continued, and now he's describing the pastime of Lord Krishna killing a demon by the name of Shakatasur. Now this happened when Lord Krishna was only 3 months old. Now there is a ceremony that is observed in many families, even today, by the way, but certainly in those days, where around the age of 3 months, when the baby attempts to rise from his lying down position. So from lying down, tries to rise to sit. And he slants his or her body, to at least turn, if not actually sit, turn from left side to right side or right side to left side, or lying on your back and turning either left or right. When that turning thing happens, then there's a celebration done. So this was the day when Krishna had turned for the first time. So Mother Yashoda invited a lot of her friends, and Bhagavatam says that for this ceremony, you only invite friends who have small children. So I'm not sure why, but that's the part of the ceremony. Anyway, so she invited her friends, and she invited lots of Brahmins to come and chant all these Vedic hymns and all that. So they came and they were chanting, and the ceremony went on. I suppose there was fire sacrifice as well. And when the ceremony finished, Mother Yashoda noticed that Lord Krishna had gone to sleep, or at least falling asleep, if not gone to sleep. So she put him in a cradle and took the cradle outside the house. There was a household cart, which by the way is called Shakat. That's where the name comes from. Shakat means a household cart. And and I don't know how many of you have seen this cart. Like basically the wheels are in the middle, and you have a long side on one side and not so long but wider side on the other side of the wheels. And so when you rest the cart, if there's no bulls or people carrying it, then it leans down on the long side. So just imagine like a slanted surface with the wheels on the ground. So underneath there's a lot of room. So I mean, you can think of like if you have a basement in your house, if you look under the stairs, that's how it looks. So basically the stairs going up. Anyway, so she put the cradle with Krishna in it under this cart and went inside to attend to the guests. Very soon after she left him there, Lord Krishna woke up and he started crying for his mother, which is what babies do. But she was busy with her guests and she didn't hear him cry. So now Krishna was really angry. So now other thing the kids do, like kids that age do, is when they're angry, they start to toss their legs up in the air. So basically it's like kicking something in the air. So Krishna did the same thing, or started to do the same thing. But when he did that, he accidentally touched the wheel of the cart. And the wheel broke into a million pieces. And the cart collapsed. The cart was full of utensils and pots and pans, brass and metal, all sorts of dishes, all kinds of things. They were piled up on the cart. And they all fell. And you can imagine if you have, brass and steel. I don't think there was stainless steel in those days, but steel and other utensils, and they all fall, what kind of a noise that will make. So great noise, they all fell down. And the wheel of the cart separated from its axle. Spokes of the wheel were scattered all over, and huge noise. So that caught the attention of the Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, the gopis. They all rushed out. What happened? And they saw this cart had totally disintegrated, and there was Lord Krishna lying in the crib or cradle, I should say, and these kids who had been put in charge of watching over Krishna are standing there. So they asked the children, "Hey, what happened here?" And the kids said, "Well, Krishna was, angry, so he kicked his feet in the air, but he kicked the wheel, and the wheel totally disintegrated. The cart fell down, and that's what happened." Now, some people were willing to believe these kids. Others said, "What nonsense! How can a 3-month-old baby kick so hard that this strong, big, huge wheel will break down like that? And not just break, but totally disintegrated." So, we don't believe you. And so there was some discussion. And obviously, clearly nobody understood that this Krishna is no ordinary baby. He is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And yes, he can do that. The children were not lying. But there were two camps of people, one who believed them rather, and those who did not believe. Anyway, so then they start saying, oh, maybe there was a demon that caused it. Or maybe there was bad planet or something like that. Anyway, Mother Yashoda picked him up right away, took him on her lap, and gave her breast to Krishna because clearly he was hungry. And then she called the Brahmins again and had them chant the Vedic hymns, perform some rituals for the protection of Lord Krishna. And there's a very nice, interesting comment in the Bhagavatam. It says, the Brahmins didn't know the real identity of the child, that he's Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they were showering Krishna with their blessings, with all these mantras for his protection. So it's a short story. But again, same question. Who was Shakatasur in his previous life? And how did he get cursed to become Shakatasur? Any ideas? No one? Okay. So his name was, actually, he was the son of Hiranyaksha, the brother of Hiranyakashipu. He was the son of Hiranyaksha. His name was Utkach. I mean, as most demons do, he had huge body. So once he went to the ashram, the hermitage of a Muni by the name of Lomash, and he broke some trees there. I mean, I guess deliberately, not some, quite a few trees there, and caused some chaos in the hermitage. So Lomash Muni got very angry and he cursed him to become bodiless. And he said, "You are so proud of your huge body. So there you go without body. You become without body." So when Utkach heard this curse, he fell at Lotus Muni's feet and started to beg for mercy. So Lotus Muni said, okay, fine. In the next Manvantar, when the next Manu starts his reign, you will be touched by the foot of Lord Krishna, and that's when you will be liberated. So until then, you will become a demon without a body. So what does he represent? So I'm going to guess that because you didn't know the answer to the first question, you also don't know the answer to the second question, but if you do, I'll wait for a second. What does he represent? Okay, so he represents a mentality that arises out of our habits, whether they're old habits or new habits, but they arise. So basically, things you do out of habits, but mainly bad habits. Whether they are in this current life or from this current life or from previous life, but they're all your bad habits that give rise to a mentality that you have, and that mentality is represented by Shakatasu. He also represents lethargy, dullness, false pride, and all those bad things. So, I mean, as I said, he didn't have a body, so basically he had a body made out of air. And his plan was that he'll make the cart fall on Lord Krishna's head when Mother Yashoda put him under the cart. But Lord Krishna is smarter than him, so he kicked it so that everything fell away from him, and he was killed in the process. So basically, Bhagavatam said that Krishna removed the contamination of Shakatasur by kicking it aside. Okay, so that's the story of Shakatasur. Any questions or comments?
Prabhu?
Huh.
You just said that habits are either this life or from the past life too.
Correct.
So we come with them also along.
So remember, if you look at the verse, let me just think for a second. Chapter 15, verse 8. It says that we carry the conceptions from our previous life in our mind to our current life. So I think the verse goes something like, Shaririyam jad avapnoti yad chaputkaam tishvara bhitva etani sanyati vayur gandhani vashyat. So just like the aroma is carried by air, the impressions and perceptions and conceptions from previous life are carried in our mind to the current life. So yeah, in that sense, we carry our mentality or bad habits or whatever you want to call it.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Any other questions? Okay, all right. So then we can move on to the story of the premonition. Okay, anyway. So, Trinavart, which is the one story that we covered last Sunday, but we're going to repeat this. So now Krishna was how old when Trinavart came? Any ideas?
1 साल.
1 saal, yes, correct. 1 year old. So one day, Mother Yashoda was patting him, had him on her lap. She was patting him. And as I said last Sunday, she was tossing him in the air, catching him, tossing him in the air, catching him. They were having a lot of fun. But just at that time, one of the servants of Kansa, a demon by the name of Trinavart, he came. And he took the form of a whirlwind. Krishna knew right away that Mr. Trinavart is here and my mother is playing with me. He says, I don't want my mother to get hurt by Trinavart, which may happen if Trinavart tries to take me away while she's still holding me on her lap. So suddenly, he became very heavy for Mother Yashoda to carry him in her lap. So a second ago, she was tossing him in the air. He was so light. Suddenly, he was so heavy that she could not even hold him in her lap, and unwillingly she put him down on the ground. And then she got busy with her household work. And at that time, as if right on clue, Trinavat came in the form of a whirlwind, and like all whirlwinds do, he raised great dust storm all over Gokul. And it's described that it was so bad that everyone's eyes became covered with dust in a few moments, didn't take very long. And the whole area of Gokul became so dark that you couldn't even see your hand in front of you. And Trinavat was going in a funnel form, and very fearsome sounds, and just moving at a very high speed. And as I said, with the dust blowing in their eyes, everybody was practically blind. Now Yashoda, who was inside, became very worried, about Krishna, who came running out. But by then it was too late. Trinavat had picked up Krishna, and he was flying high, going up and up and up. It's described that he went very, very high, maybe even higher than the airplanes fly these days. And Krishna kept getting lighter and lighter and lighter to allow Trinavat to take him higher and higher and higher. Why? Because Krishna said, I know the higher this demon goes, the more he will hurt when he falls to the ground. And there's a comment in Srimad Bhagavatam that said that Krishna plays the same trick with materialistic people who are too puffed up about their opulence, about their education, about their powers or their positions, their fame or whatever. He actually lets these people think that they have become very powerful. And the high education, high position, and all that kind of things. And he does that. He says, now when this person falls, he will be crushed completely. So that is interesting way of showing his mercy upon these people. Of course, Trinavat was too foolish to understand all this. He was just patting himself on the back saying, look how great I am. I'm so powerful. And this child is nothing. And then he said, I have no idea why everybody in Kansa's camp was so scared of this little kid. Look, I can take him as high as I want. I'm taking him higher and higher and higher. And he couldn't understand. He just simply could not understand that Krishna was simply playing tricks with him by letting him arrange for his own smashing by Lord Krishna. Just like I give the example of the materialistic people, he does the same thing with them. He's doing the same thing with Trinavat. Krishna was letting him think that Trinavat was doing all on his own power and according to his own plan, Trinavat's plan. And in his puffed up state, he did not understand that actually Krishna was giving him the strength to go higher and higher and higher. I guess he had not read Bhagavad Gita at that time. Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, text 11 says what? Balam balvatam chaham. I'm the strength of man. So Krishna was giving the strength, but he said, he thought it was his own. He also forgot a very famous proverb which says, the higher they go, what's the rest of it? Anybody knows? The higher they go, the harder they fall. So he was letting it all happen. Anyway, so once they had gone sufficiently high, and Krishna had his fun ride. I mean, you can imagine the fun that a child has when on a roller coaster, or if you go to this, Canada's Wonderland type of places, the boat ride and all those kind of things, take you up and down and at high speed and all those kind of things. For some people, that's a lot of fun. So Krishna was having great fun. He was laughing and was just being very happy. But once he got to a certain height, Krishna said, okay, enough. I need to finish this. So suddenly, he assumed the weight of a mountain. But not only that, he also grabbed Trinavat's throat with his hands. Little baby hands, 1 year old. But he grabbed his throat. Now, because of the weight of Krishna, Trinavat could not go any higher. He couldn't even hover in the atmosphere like a helicopter, which just stays in one place at one height. Nor could he release himself from the grip of this 1 year old baby, but caught hold of his throat and was choking him, just choking him hard. Eventually, Trinavat's eyes popped out from the sockets and he started to cry. This huge man suddenly started crying very fiercely and he fell to the ground like free weight from a great height and he was completely crushed. But then another funny thing happened. Krishna, the 1 year old baby, just stayed on top of him and started playing very calmly and smiling and giggling as if nothing extraordinary had happened. It's all part of the game for him. But back in Vrindavan, in Gokul, Mother Yashoda was desperately looking for Krishna. Where did my baby go? Where did my baby go? She couldn't see him anywhere. Still so dark, so dusty. She was looking for him desperately, but couldn't see anywhere. So she started crying like anything. Bhagavatam says she was crying like a cow who had lost her calf. All the other women were helping her find Krishna. They also couldn't find him, so they all sat down together and started crying. But once they heard this big thud sound, by then, because the whirlwind had stopped, obviously, the air was getting a little bit cleaner, you could see. And they saw Krishna playing on top of the body of Trinavat. So the gopis ran, picked Krishna up, and brought him back to Mother Yashoda. Nanda Maharaj was there also. He saw the whole thing. And he said, this is a miraculous act of Lord Narayan. He says, we must have performed some serious austerities for a very long time. We must have worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead very sincerely for us to be able to see our child alive. We must have done so many pious activities. We must have constructed, wells and roads, and we must have given so much in charity, on and on and on. It's the result of all that my baby did not die. And he's here, he's returned to give me and his other relatives so much happiness. And then once again, Nanda Maharaj's mind went back to what Vasudeva had said. And he said, what a great personality Vasudeva is, that he knew that these things would start happening. So that's the story of Trinavat. The same question, what does Trinavat represent?
False pride, Prabhuji?
Yes, false pride, exactly right. False pride, which basically arises out of what you call material scholarship. So in other words, you have a PhD, or you're a scholar in something. You have great amount of knowledge about something. You have studied them all, and you're the expert. So the false pride that comes from that, because what happens is that when people have all this high education and knowledge and all that, and they have false pride, then they start giving rise to bogus philosophies. And actually, Bhagavatam gives the examples, which kind of surprised me a little bit, but not much. The bogus philosophies like Mayavad and Buddhism. And it explains further that these philosophies like Mayavad, Buddhism, they're not helpful to us in our path of pure bhakti. If anything, they are an impediment in the path of devotional service or bhakti. And they create, a very interesting terms used here, they create disloyal controversy. Examples are mental speculation and useless arguments, including gossip and spreading of rumors. So what's mental speculation? I want to specifically talk about this because a lot of us do this. So mental speculation is an act of coming to our own conclusions. Like we are arriving at a conclusion according to our own realization. born from this little so-called fertile brain, but it has no regard to our predecessor acharyas. In other words, we are acting independent of the parampara. In other words, we're not following the instructions of GPS that we talked about on Sunday, GPS being the Guru Parampara system. Total disregard for the predecessors. Whatever we're coming up with is our own theory. I think this or I feel this, that kind of mentality. And that creates the dust storm or the whirlwind, which obscures the real message of Lord Krishna. And when that happens, it also creates the dust of doubt in the mind of the thinker and the mind of the listener who's unfortunate enough to listen to this bogus philosophy. And that's what creates controversy. Because somebody's acting for the sake of fulfilling their own material motivation. And when that material motivation comes in, selfish material motivation, that's what politics is. And then they start spreading rumors because somehow or the other they have support their theory. So they start spreading rumors about people who don't agree with them. Or for other kind of material gains. And again, it gives rise to so much controversy and does not benefit anyone. Certainly does not benefit anyone's consciousness. It just goes worse and worse and worse, meaning more and more material. And when that happens, we're not able to see Krishna. We're not able to find Krishna, even when we are in the temple or we are with the Vaishnavas. Why is that? Because we start to expend our energy in finding faults in other people and spreading rumors about other people whom we don't agree with. So the caution is that we really have to be very careful about this Trinavart in our heart, which is giving rise to independent thinking, independent of GPS, the Guru Parampara system, not following the instructions of the predecessors, not following the Shastras, etc. And therefore, the caution is, don't do that. Don't start gossip. Don't start rumor about other people. Because otherwise, the demon of Trinavart will enter our mind, create this big dust storm of distrust in the Shastras, distrust in other people, anger towards other people, and other people's anger towards you. And that will completely obscure the path of Krishna consciousness. I was quoting on Sunday that Lord Chaitanya told Raghunath Goswami, Grama Katha na kahibe, Grama Katha na shunbe, which means do not listen to Prajalpa, the mundane topics which have nothing to do with Krishna, and don't hear them either. So when somebody comes to us with a great desire to share some gossip with us or criticize somebody or spread rumors about somebody, we should have enough internal strength to say, no, thank you, not interested, and walk away. So otherwise, we're going to give rise to envy and other anarthas in our mind, and it will become one heck of a impediment in our devotional service. Lord Krishna doesn't care for people who are so much into politics, into fault finding, into spreading rumors. He's what's the word I should say? He's moved by devotees who show humility, not those who get into politics and rumor mongering, etc., fault finding, especially fault finding. And he does not accept their devotional service. Okay. So who was Trinavart in the previous life? Anybody knows, or are those I can tell you?
Sahasraksha.
He was actually the, I'm sorry. Yeah, his name was, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I was missing. Yeah, he was Sahasraksha. His name was Sahasraksha. He was a king actually. And he was cursed by Durvasa Muni because just like Nal Kuvar and Mani Guru, he was also bathing naked with 10,000 of his, or 1,000 of his wives. And he didn't bother dressing up when Durvasa Muni walked by. So Durvasa Muni cursed him to live on earth for 100,000 years and suffer the life of a demon. So that's who he was. Okay, that's the end of the story for Trinavart. Any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry. Okay, is there any reason? Okay, there is a pastime for the demon, but is there any reason to come back in Krishna's time?
Yeah, the curse, when he started to apologize for the curse, then the relief that was given to him was that you have to be like this until Lord Krishna appears, and then he will deliver you. So it's all part of the curse. So actually, most of the demons are like that. They were cursed, they started to apologize. So the relief was given that, okay, when Lord Krishna comes or when Lord Ram comes or whatever, then he'll be delivered with some pastime. So this is all destined, predestined, pre-planned. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Sure. Anyone else? Okay. So then this chapter ends with a very wonderful pastime. I have to ask you one question before I go there. How many times do you think Lord Krishna showed his universal form to Mother Yashoda?
Twice, Prabhu.
Twice. So I'm going to talk about the first one, and then we'll see the second one. Okay. Excuse me. So one day, Mother Yashoda was, having Lord Krishna in her lap. She was breastfeeding him, and with a great love in her heart and her eyes, she was looking at the beautiful face of Krishna. And that affection was just oozing out of her. Suddenly, Krishna yawned. And Mother Yashoda happened, because she was looking at his face, she saw within his mouth the entire universe manifested. She saw within his mouth the whole sky, the 14 planetary systems. She saw the sun, she saw the moon, she saw the oceans, she saw islands, she saw mountains and forests and rivers and all sorts of living entities. Like an unbelievable sight. And upon seeing this, she was actually getting palpitations. Her heart was just going, boom, 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 like crazy. And out of fear, she closed her eyes, totally astonished. What have I just seen? And then Krishna stopped yawning. The whole thing went away. And she forgot what she had seen. So that's the first time that Lord Krishna showed. So then we go to chapter 8, where the story of how he showed his universal form to Mother Yashoda again, the second time. So actually the chapter starts very interestingly. Back in Mathura, Vasudeva once requested Garg Muni, who's the family priest, like Kulguru, family priest of Yadu dynasty. And he requested Garg Muni to go to the house of Nanda Maharaj in Gokul. So he came. Nanda Maharaj saw Garg Muni, he recognized him, he received him with great respect, and he knew Garg Muni, who Garg Muni is. Not only is a very wonderful astrologer, a great authority on astrology, but also great devotee. Because of his knowledge of astrology, Garg Muni could see the past, of course, the present, and the future. So Nanda Maharaj, was also curious to know the astrological position of the two children that he was taking care of. And he wanted to know, what's needed? What should I be doing to make sure that the children remain happy. So as he was speaking with Garg Muni, he said, will you please prepare a horoscope for my two kids also? And also, can you do a Nam Sanskaran ceremony, which is the giving the names to these two boys. It's one of the, I think, 16 purificatory ceremonies that one goes through in life. So this is the Nam Sanskaran or name giving purificatory ceremony. But Garg Muni said, my dear Nand Maharaj, you don't understand. Kansa is still looking for the son of Devaki because Mother Durga had forecasted that the son of Devaki has already appeared somewhere. And he's looking, hasn't found him yet. So if I perform the name-giving ceremony in a big way, big, pomp and show, then he will hear about this. Kansa will hear about this. And because I'm the Kul Guru of the Yadu dynasty, not your dynasty, he'll immediately suspect that this boy, Krishna, must be the son of Devaki. And he can cause you a lot of problems. So Nand Maharaj said, okay, it makes total sense to me. So let's go to my cow shed and let's perform this ceremony in secret. No invitations, worse than COVID. Only Nand Maharaj, Yashoda Maya, Mother Rohini, and Balram and Krishna. So that's what, 5 people, along with Garg Muni, 6 people in the cow shed, and the ceremony started. So after having done the charts, Garg Muni said, because this light complexion boy, the son of Rohini, he increases the transcendental bliss of other people. So his name will be Ram. But he also possesses extraordinary power and strength. So his name will also be Baladev. And combined, he'll be Balaram. And because he gave 2 reasons. He said, because he was extracted from Devaki's womb, put into Rohini's womb, and also because he attracts the Yadus to follow his instructions, his name would be Sankarsha. So those are the names that Garg Muni gave to Lord Balaram. Then he looked at Krishna, the son of Yashoda. And he said something very interesting. There's a very famous verse in Canto, obviously, but chapter 8, this chapter, text 13, which says, Asan varnastrayo hi asya, grihnato anugama tanu, shuklo raktas tathapito idanim krishnatam gata. He said, this boy has appeared in 3 other colors before, in different millenniums, yugas. He's appeared as white in color, he's appeared red in color, he's appeared yellow in color. This time he's assumed the color black. Previously, he has appeared, he didn't say this time, he said previously, he has appeared as son of Vasudev, so he'll be known as Vasudev. And he'll have many, many other names according to his various qualities and activities. So as we know, Krishna has a million names for his pastimes and his qualities. And then he says something very, very interesting. He said, your child, Nanda Maharaj, is as good as Lord Narayan. When it comes to his qualities, his opulence, his fame, his influence, he's just like Lord Narayan. So, my dear Nanda Maharaj, please raise this child very carefully and very cautiously. Now, what Garg Muni really wanted to do was to impress upon Nanda Maharaj that his Nanda Maharaj's worshipable deity Narayan is so pleased with Nanda Maharaj that he has sent to him a son who's almost equal to him being Narayan, in qualifications. He said, therefore, you may designate your son with similar names. And he gave examples. You could call him Mukunda, you could call him Madhusudan, etc., etc. He said, but this comes with a liability also. And I said, what do you mean? What liability? He said, the Gargmuni said, just remember, whenever you want to do something very good, you will run into many hindrances. Therefore, you should raise the child and protect this child with great care. If you can do that, like protect this child very cautiously, as Narayan always protects you, then this child will be as good as Narayan. So basically, Gargmuni revealed the true identity of Lord Krishna. Of course, because of the influence of Yogamaya, Nanda Maharaj basically said to himself, oh, this is just exaggeration a little bit. He is trying to tell me that my son is very special. And that was Nanda Maharaj's interpretation of this whole thing. Anyway, so Gargmuni completed this name-giving ceremony. Once again, he reminded him, Nanda Maharaj, to protect his son very carefully, and he left. Okay, I'm going to pause for a second, see if there are any questions or comments before I continue.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, it's mentioned that white, red, and black. Is it white is the Lord Ram and black is Krishna, red? I don't know. Is it that is how we have to look at it?
No.
Okay.
No. So Lord Hari appears as white color, and at that time his name is Harsh.
Okay.
And I don't know the name of incarnation that's red, but it's not Lord Ram.
Okay.
See, Lord Ram's activated different colors. Sometimes said he's blue, sometimes he says green. But I never heard him being described as red in color. So I don't know, to be honest with you, which, but I mean, I know, but I can't remember the name. I've read it somewhere, but it's so obscure that it always escapes me. Does anybody know the name by any chance? Okay. All right. Anyway.
So Hari, Prabhuji, so it is this Hari, that means this, is this something like in Satyuga, Hari?
Satyuga, yes.
Okay, Satyuga.
So Hari is like Vishnu, Lord Narayan.
Narayan, okay.
Prabhuji, it's not Lord Parshuram, right? No, right?
Not that I know of. I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I say, I know it, but I just can't remember right now. I can look it up again and I can send an email.
And the second question is that Sankarshan, right? So is that word, because transferring from one womb to another, that word is called Sankarshan.
Correct.
That the name is,
so,
okay.
Sankarshan means Samyak Akarshan.
Okay.
The complete attraction from one place to another place.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? So the whole baby got transferred from Devki's womb to Rohini's womb.
Okay, because of attraction or
correct.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question, Prabhuji.
Go ahead.
So Gargamuni knew about Krishna's identity, but Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Maya, they knew as well that he's son of Vasudeva and Devaki?
No, they did not. They did not know at that time. At that time, they did not know that he's son of Devaki and Vasudeva. They really thought he was their child. And when you think about it, as we talked about it in the discussion about appearance of Lord Krishna, he was their child. Because remember, Krishna and Yogamaya appeared from Mother Yashoda's womb, and Lord Krishna in his 400 Vishnu form appeared from Devaki's womb. And when Vasudeva brought them, they merged into one body. So it would not be incorrect to say that, yes, Krishna was Yashoda's son.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Right?
Thank you.
But yes, Devaki knew. Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj did not know that he's God. And as we'll see in the future pastimes of Lord Krishna, there were many opportunities for them to know that he's God, and they simply got influenced by Yoga Maya and either forgot or didn't realize. So we just talked about two pastimes of Krishna showing his universal form to his mother Yashoda. Sorry, we talked about one and we'll talk about the second one very soon. But both times, immediately after she forgot. And she thought, oh, I must have imagined or I must have a dream or I'm an illusion or something, and just discarded the whole thing.
So one more question, Prabhuji. Was there any reason for Krishna to show the universal form to Mother Yashoda?
Yes, this is his game with his devotees. He says, I'm going to totally astonish you. I'm going to take you to different heights, and then I'll make you forget it. That's his having fun. There's no other reason. He's not trying to impress her. He doesn't want her to even remember this. He's just having fun. Right? So actually, I'm probably jumping ahead, but I'll tell you one other pastime, which I'll probably discuss later on, in a few weeks from now. And this goes to the time when Akrura comes to take Krishna to Mathura. So clearly, everybody's very upset, but Nanda Maharaj finally agrees. He sees merit in doing that. He also doesn't think he has a choice. So he agrees to let Krishna go. But Mother Yashoda says, no way, I'm not letting him go. And like there was big fuss. All night she was crying, and everybody was trying to come to her saying, it's okay, let him go, and she would not. Everybody, Nanda Maharaj, Rohini, Balaram, all the other elders, friends, they all came to Mother Yashoda, tried to convince her to let him go. She wouldn't. Finally, they said, Krishna, only you can convince her, so you go. So Krishna went to where Mother Yashoda was sitting and crying and crying and crying. And he tried to convince her, and nothing. So finally he said, Mother, just think about something. When I was 6 days old, I killed this 12-mile-long Putana. When I was 3 months old, I killed Shakatasur. When I was 1 year old, I killed Trinavart. And since then, every day some demon has come. Aghasur, Bakasur, Vritrasur, and no, sorry, not Vritrasur, Vatsasur, Dhenukasur, so many came, and I killed them all. Who do you think I am? And in very angry mood, she says, I don't know who you are. Who are you? She said, Mother, I am God. I'm the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And you know what she said? She said, Bakwas band karo. Stop talking nonsense. Don't tell me you're God. You're not God or anything. You're the guy I bound with the rope. You're my lalla. That's all I know. So here's Krishna telling him he's God. She's saying, forget it. And we'll talk about another pastime later on when Lord Krishna delivers the 2 trees, Yamlarjun trees. So she had bound him, and Nanda Maharaj, Balaram, they were very upset that the trees could have fallen upon him. So Balaram got very angry, and in great anger, he went to Mother Yashoda. And he said, why did you tie Krishna? And Mother Yashoda said, don't argue with me. Don't talk to me like that. Go away. And he said, no. Tell me, why did you do that? Don't you know who he is? So now Yashoda was just even more angry. She said, you tell me, who is he? And Balaram said, he is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Yashoda said, Acha, and who are you? And he said, I am also Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you know what she said? I'm going to say it in Hindi, then I'll translate this. She said, सब भगवानों को हमारे यहाँ पैदा होना था, भागवत ने भी पिटाई करेंगे तुम्हारी भी. Which means that all the gods had to appear in my house. Run away from here before I start beating you up. So that was Yashoda's mood. It didn't matter what evidence they saw, Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Maiya, and any other resident of Vrindavan. They just rejected it. Just totally rejected it. To them, he was their lalla, he was their friend, He was their lover or whatever, but not God. Okay. So, Namli, does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank
Okay,
you.
you're welcome. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hani, go.
So, Krishna showed his universal form twice to Mother Yashoda.
I haven't talked about the second one yet.
No, I know.
Okay.
But when he knew, I mean, of course, he knew that she's not going to remember or she's not going to believe that he's God. So, was there any specific reason for him to show the universal form?
Yeah, like I was saying before, same question, right? He's just having fun.
Okay.
So he wants her to feel that astonishment. You know, what is this? So whatever the bliss is associated with that, and then make her forget, because otherwise the pastimes cannot happen. Because this pastime happened, both of these pastimes happened before she bound him. So how will Damodar Leela happen if she thinks he's God? Like Mother Devaki later on, when they went to Mathura, and Devaki and Vasudev saw Krishna's coming, they ran to embrace him, and they stopped halfway because they remembered, this is God. I can't embrace him. So Vasudeva and Devaki said, I cannot embrace him because he's God. And what's Mother Yashoda doing? Picking him up, tossing him in there, and catching him. And that's the difference.
Guruji, a question comes that is the Yogamaya only impacts when Krishna is material world, or is that also in a spiritual world?
No.
Yogamaya?
Spiritual world, Yogamaya has no influence.
Okay.
And in the material world, she has influence only because ordered by
Krishna.
So Lord Krishna willingly accepting that. Otherwise, because energy can never control energetic. So only by the order of Krishna, Yogamaya was doing this. But whenever Krishna wanted to, he could remember that he's God, which happened many times, including Lord Balaram. Because Lord Balaram also forgot he was God until Pralambasur started taking him up. Bhagavatam says he was actually scared for a minute. Then he said, wait a minute, I can't be scared, I'm God. And took his fist, boom, broke his head in a million pieces. Okay? Anyone else? All right, so let's go on. So now is the time for some fun pastimes for Krishna. So now Sridhar Goswami is saying that the children, Balaram and Krishna, have started to crawl. They've grown up enough to crawl. But in those days, and imagine a family with 900,000 cows. One of the favorite activities of cows is that they produce byproducts. So those byproducts are everywhere. In the lawn, in the front yard, in the backyard, in the surrounding, the streets, wherever. It's full of them. So Krishna and Balaram will crawl through areas which are full of cow dung and cow urine. And this is crawl through it. And then every once in a while, they'll see the back of a woman. And because she's wearing the same dress or similar dress as Mother Yashoda, same height, same kind of build, they think, oh, this is my mother going. So they start crawling fast towards her, making some sounds like stop, stop kind of thing. And then when the woman will turn around and they'll realize it's not their mother, they'll act scared, they turn around and rush back to their mother, Rohini and Yashoda. Now they're totally covered in cow dung and cow urine when they get close to Mother Yashoda and Rohini. What would you or I do if our child came to us, smeared with cow dung and cow urine? Huh?
You.
You, that's right. Hold your nose, and bring a hose and start hosing him. But that's not what they did. They picked them up right away. Big hug. And then we wash him. So that's again, the love is just so great that that didn't matter that they were soaked in cow dung and cow urine. Sometimes there's another pastime that Krishna and Balaram would do. They will crawl through this area, and there will be a calf standing there, innocently standing there. They'll go behind the calf and grab his tail and then yank it. So you can imagine the reaction of the calf. He goes so startled, he starts running. Now, as it runs, because of the weight of Krishna or Balaram, the tail would go like this. So now, Krishna and Balaram are swinging behind with the tail, of the calf, but they're swinging through what? The same cow dung and cow urine. But they have a great time. They're laughing, and everybody, all the cowherd girls and women and all those kind of things, standing there laughing their head off, just enjoying watching this particular pastime. I mean, a lot of women would be working at that, and they stop. They just stop and just watch in amazement and great amount of love in their heart. This amazing pastime of the Supreme Personality of Godhead being dragged through cow dung and cow urine. Anyway, some more time passed, and Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram started walking. So now instead of crawling, they're walking. But once they started walking, the mischiefs increased. Now the famous pastimes, like the going to the house of the gopis and stealing butter from their homes, like the pastime of them going and releasing the calves. So they will run to their mothers, the cows, and drink all the milk before it's time for it. If they go to a house and they can't find any butter, and this small baby sleeping, they'll go and pinch the baby, make him cry, and run away. If they were not satisfied with that, they'll break the pots just because this house doesn't have any butter. And on and I mean, there's a lot of details behind this. Today, I'm just naming this because later on we'll talk in great detail all these pastimes. Sometimes gopis will say, Krishna is very little, so I'll hang the yogurt or the butter high from the ceiling. So they'll make a ladder of the boys, one boy on top of the other one, on top of another one, on top of another one. They'll reach the ceiling, get the pot down, and everybody will share. They will go to the dark places, and because of their own effulgence and the effulgence of their ornaments, they could see in the dark. So if the gopis were hiding butter in the dark room, they'll find it. And so on and so forth, like many, many naughty pastimes that we'll discuss in great detail later on. Today, I just wanted to mention, like the point being that they became very mischievous, very, very naughty, and performed some amazing pastimes. Well, so one day, Mother Yashoda was sitting there, and suddenly a bunch of kids, friends of Krishna, came running to her. And they said, Mother, Maya, your Krishna is eating earth, the soil, mitti, the mud. Mother Yashoda said, yeah. She went running to a place called Brahmand Ghat, which is still there today, you can see it. And she caught hold of Krishna. And she said, I heard that you ate soil or mud. And Krishna said, Maya, like my dear mother, you are so innocent. You don't realize that these kids, they have made a plot against me. And they've gone and complained to you because I beat them again. So now they're upset, so now they want me to be in trouble with you. But you're smart, you understand all this. You can take my words as true, right? I never lied to you, right? And Mother Yashoda says, wait a minute, maybe your friends are lying, but I know Balaram never lies. He's saying that you ate soil. And Lord Krishna said, Maya, you're so innocent. Today, even Balaram has joined them because I defeated him too. Actually, I haven't done this. I have not eaten anything. can take my words. So please don't be angry and chastise me. I have never eaten dirt and never will eat dirt. Don't worry. These friends of mine who are complaining against me, they're simple liars. Just nothing but liars. Liar, liar, pants on fire. He didn't say that. And Maya, if you think they are telling the truth and I'm lying, you can directly look into my mouth and see for yourself. So Mother Yashoda said, okay, fine. Krishna, if you have not eaten the earth, you open your mouth wide now. She challenged him to open the mouth. So Krishna said, okay, mother, you don't trust me? Here. And he opened his mouth wide open. And there was Yashoda seeing within the mouth of Krishna all things moving and non-moving, trees, the mountains, the oceans, and all these kind of things I was saying before. Same thing. Outer space, all the directions, you name it, it's all she was seeing. And when Mother Yashoda saw that, she was amazed, but suddenly she was even more amazed because she also saw Vrindavan Dham. She saw herself. She saw Nanda Maharaj. She saw her own house. Now she was so doubtful about who is this kid? What is his nature? She was almost getting afraid. And she started to argue with herself. No. I'm seeing a dream. No. I'm just an illusion. And she didn't know what's going on, what's happening. So she surrendered to the Lord. Not Lord Krishna, Lord Narayan. Offered her obeisances. And said, please protect me, protect my son. So Lord Krishna, again by the order of Yogamaya, inspired her to start feeling her motherly love so intensely that she totally got absorbed in that motherly love, and she forgot about what she had seen. She forgot the universal form and all the things inside that she had just seen. And all she saw was the smiling face of her son, Krishna. So what does she do? Picks him up. Big hug. Million kisses on his cheeks. And completely forgetting what she had just seen. So Parikshit Maharaj was listening to this pastime with great attention, great absorption. But he was just amazed at the good fortune of Yashoda. So he said to Shukadeva Goswami, my dear sir, what auspicious activities did Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Maya do to achieve such perfection in their love for Krishna? What did they do to feel this kind of ecstasy? What did they do to achieve such perfection of ecstatic love in their heart for Krishna? Because remember, it's not that easy. But they are the embodiment, the perfection of ecstatic love in the heart of a parent. So what did they do to achieve that? So Nanda Maharaj gave the history of Nanda and Yashoda. And they said actually formerly they were Vasus, Drona and Dhara. And they were actually ordered by Brahma. Some places it says they performed austerities, Brahma appeared. Some places it says Brahma ordered them to come to this earth and accept Lord Krishna as their son and enjoy those pastimes, the childhood pastimes that even Mother Devaki and Vasudeva were not given the opportunity to enjoy. So basically it means that Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Maya were themselves eternal parents of Lord Krishna, At that time, Drona and Dhara's souls got mixed or merged, whatever term you want to use, with the soul of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. So there were two of them in one body, and they enjoyed the pastimes of Krishna as a child, and they felt that perfection of ecstasy in their heart from being in that position of parents without knowing that their child is God. All they knew was it's their child. They have the responsibility for the protection and care of the child, and they did that to perfection also. That is the end of this chapter. So I'm going to stop and see if there are any questions or comments.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hello.
So I just questioned that Drona and Dhara, you were talking to Vasu. Why we call Vasu that? Is there anything?
Sorry, say again.
No, I'm just asking that the previous birth, the Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda was Drona and Dhara, right?
Yeah, yes.
Vasu. Then why the word Vasu is called there, or they were some?
So remember, Vasu is type of demigod.
Okay, okay.
Even Bhishma was a Vasu, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Anyone else?
Prabhuji,
Haji.
there was one more pastime that Krishna does when he's very young. I don't know whether that's in your agenda or no, but he looks into the, I think, pillar which is engraved with all precious stones, and he sees his own reflection. Can you say that, Prabhu? Can you narrate that?
So actually, there are two versions of that pastime. One is where he sees his image on the pillar. In those days, the pillars were not cement; they were made of gems, which reflected. So you could actually see your image just like you do in a mirror. So Krishna was looking at himself and smiling at himself, admiring his beauty. And suddenly Mother Yashoda came and he noticed that she has noticed him looking at his own image. He felt very embarrassed and then he walked away or crawled away, I'm not sure. So that's one version. The second version is that he was stealing butter and he saw his image stealing the butter and then eating it. And he said, hey, somebody's watching me steal and eat the butter. But he's doing the same thing. So he started to play the game with the image, thinking it's a second person. And then he got caught by Mother Yashoda again. And he said, it's not me, it's him. It's him, it's not me. So that's how I remember it, unless you have a different version.
No, Prabhuji, this is the one I wanted to hear.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, there are millions of pastimes like that, right? So only some of them are mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. You have to go to other Puranas for other pastimes. There's so many. They're all wonderful.
Yeah, Prabhuji, again coming back to the Krishna's pastime, why did he eat earth?
What did he?
Why did he eat earth, Lord Krishna?
Oh, why did he eat that? Yeah.
I understand eating butter and all those things, but this is something unusual, right?
So actually, you remember that Lord Chaitanya did the same thing, right? Right? So, and he answered the question that you're asking. And basically the answer was that everything is a transformation of earth. So whether it's the pot, it's the earth itself, the soil, or what you cooked, they're all coming from dirt or earth. So therefore, what's the difference? Why do you discriminate? They're all the same. So, and that's basically the point. But again, in Lord Chaitanya's case, it was a different reason because he wanted to teach his mother. In case of Lord Krishna, that's just another way of having fun, an excuse to show his mouth and what's inside to his mother. Right? So different reason, but same kind of pastime. So once again, remember the whole purpose of Krishna's appearance is to have fun with his pure devotees. He doesn't come here to kill anybody. Actually, he never kills anybody anyway. Krishna never killed once. Right? Not a single person. He's not interested. He's only interested in enjoying with his pure devotees.
Yeah.
So actually, one of the reasons we pray to Lord Nrsimhadev for protection, not Lord Krishna, is that we don't want to disturb Krishna, who's having so much fun with his devotees. He's enjoying, let him enjoy. He has appeared as Lord Nrsimhadev, so you can go to him and ask for protection. That's Lord Nrsimhadev's role. But Krishna's role is just to enjoy. So let him enjoy. Don't disturb him.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Anyone else? Okay, then we'll stop. And we'll see you next week. Thank you again for your patience and attention. And we'll see you next week. Vancha
Kaltarubhya kripa sindhubhya pacitanam
Namo Namaha.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu. Thank you.
Huh? Hare